Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tastemakers podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here to talk through the latest, the greatest in the world of TV and film. And with me, as always, Grace Leeder. How you doing, Grace?
I'm doing well, Taran. It was not Canadian Thanksgiving; it was American Thanksgiving. It's like I'm thankful that you have mostly a working TV, although I hear rumors that maybe not fully working, but mostly a working television that you were able to watch things on.
There's a whole plot line. I got a new TV, but literally just before I started this podcast, I noticed that there was an issue with it. So it's probably going to have to be replaced again. But it has been functioning over the last couple of weeks, and it's functioning enough that I can continue to watch stuff in the meantime. So I have plenty of things to catch up on, to talk about things that I watched, new things, a little bit older things, all kinds of things. So that is my theme of the day, which is let me comment on all of the things that happened, or at least as many of them as possible, over the hiatus that I took from television.
Well, I presume one of those things is perhaps Stranger, to some degree, maybe not all of the first batch, and we'll talk about it here in sort of non-spoilery detail or overall thoughts. And then there'll be another bonus pod coming out. I think it's going to be kind of a bonus Tastemakers. I'll call Mike Bloom an honorary tastemaker. Mike Bloom and I are going to sort of spoiler filled episode on our thoughts about, I guess it's officially called Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1. Is the first 4 episodes of the season, Taran. Which I feel like everybody and their mother, except my mother who doesn't watch Stranger Things, was watching Stranger Things. So we'll chat.
Yes, I have seen the first 2 of the first of the 4 episodes that have dropped. I am not all the way caught up, and I think this is, quite frankly, a perfect example of why I don't like this kind of release. Because I would love to talk Stranger Things right now, but it's 4 like hour and a half episodes, and it's tough to get through them all, especially when you're busy with the holidays, and so it's harder to talk about the show without getting spoiled. So you're like burying your head in the sand. And I would have preferred it if we just had like a little bit of a week by week kind of thing.
Taran, I have to in my job, I work for a health charity, and we ran our annual conference this past week, and I am very busy during that week, and I worked from about 6 a.m. until, at the earliest, most days, 7 p.m. and one night I stayed till 10 p.m. That was but yeah, I was very busy. I did not watch TV. And Stranger Things, I think, came out on Thursday, and on the Friday, all of my coworkers who know that I watch a lot of TV and they know I have a podcast about TV, they came up and go, "Hey, you watched Stranger Things yet?" And I said, when would I have watched when would I have watched it? When? But I did watch it. And when I got home from the conference, I watched it. I watched all 4 episodes yesterday. So, but yeah, people are really busy, and yeah, everyone, it did, even on Friday, everyone was like, "I've watched all Stranger Things." It's like, how did you do that? How? Anyway.
It's a lot. And I actually, I don't know how true this is. I saw, I just reminded me of it. I saw some article saying that like the Duffer Brothers wanted it to be a weekly release.
I bet they did.
And
Want it to be a
Netflix
weekly.
said no.
Well, the thing that I saw, someone shared a photo with me that was apparent. I don't know if this is still true, and it kind of doesn't mean anything. It's so, apologies to my coworker who maybe got a little bit like, you know, there was a headline that was like, it was the highest rated episode, which I do think maybe on IMDb, season 5, episode 4 is, I think, the highest rated IMDb episode or something like that. So people seem to have watched it, and mostly I feel like people seem to have really liked it. But yeah, there's a lot of content to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was right to feel skeptical about that. I'm looking it up now. There's another article now by the RHAP that says that was not a true piece of information, that the Duffer Brothers have come out to say that it was not true. They did not ask Netflix to do a weekly release.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked sort of ad nauseum about like this release strategy in terms of Netflix is sort of, I don't think that they can sort of untangle themselves from that they are the network that or the streaming platform that basically ushered in the era of binge dropping seasons. Not binge watching TV. You could always like, buy the DVD of the thing and binge watch it, or a marathon on TV, but dropping new episodes all at once. And I think that they can't figure out how to untangle themselves. And in some ways, based on the way that they sort of report numbers and things, it's actually beneficial for them to still binge drop to some degree. But yeah, they are like breaking up their seasons. They've done this sort of holiday release, which is, I think, the exact same thing they did with the first batch of Squid Game episodes last year. So, they're pretty married to this thing, but it does make it a challenge to be able to have conversations with people who are watching the thing, and you just feel like you never know. It feels like you're stepping on landmines to try to like have some conversation about it, because it's like, well, what episode did you watch up till? Oh, and then we could talk, but did this, and then because I watched them all at once, I don't even know which thing happened in which particular episode. So it is an annoying thing about we can't even have monoculture when we have monoculture. you know
Well, what's the headline here? I've watched 2 episodes, and I think so far for me, it's like, yeah, that's Stranger Things. That's how I feel about it mostly.
I think headline number 1 is, wow, those kids are old. And then after that, it feels very Stranger Things. I think that for me, one thing that I was sort of surprised by maybe is how I feel like we've been waiting for so long for this show to come out. And it's not that it's not good, but it doesn't feel necessarily like when you start it that we're watching like Avengers Endgame. I feel like it's pretty like some of the characters are over here, some of them are over here. They're all obviously gearing up to do the same thing. And I don't know how, I guess I'll just, like, based on where we are, it's the final season. We're going to build up. And I do feel like over the course of 4 episodes, we are building up. I feel like a lot of people came to me about episode 4, about like wanting to, that's what they wanted to talk about because they had watched it all. So I won't say anything more than that, but I do feel like it's fun. I think that it's sort of living up to expectations to a degree. And that's what I'm hearing. I haven't been online as much this past week, so I don't know if that feels accurate as well, to feel like the internet crowd, but I feel like the casual crowd is sort of eating it up in a way. And I really enjoyed watching the 4 episodes because I feel like it was sort of a slow build up back into everything. Even if there is like action and propulsion in the first episode, the story beats felt like it was, yeah, I get why they cut it off at this point. And it felt very satisfying, I think.
Well, what I will say is, as somebody that did not do any rewatching in preparation and who only ever watched Stranger Things as it happened, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
I do feel like I spent these first 2 episodes, I spent a decent amount of these episodes being like, oh, I guess that guy's dead. That's why he's not here. Okay.
Right.
And why is she, I guess, never woke up? Okay. Like, just kind of remembering the fate of the characters and also the state of relationships. There was a moment where one of the characters saw something, saw another one of the characters like, interacting with somebody that they were in a relationship with, and I was like, oh, they don't know. Oh, I thought they knew.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of just trying to like reset where everything actually stands, because to be quite honest, I remember mostly the first season and maybe a little bit of the fourth and like not a whole lot in between. And so I think that the distance and the length of time it took to make the show is probably the biggest critique I've seen
100%.
between the ages of the actors and how long it's been and how much you're not remembering. And also, I think to me that the show did go through a bit of wheel spinning. And I talked about this a lot with The Boys, because I think like The Boys is like a really bad example of it, of like just constant wheel spinning until we finally get to the point where we can actually do something. And I do feel like this show has felt like that, where it's like, okay, now we're in the final season. Now we can actually do something and it will actually matter. And so I do feel like again, through these 2 episodes, I'm sort of like reacclimating myself to who's in a relationship with who's mad at who, where are all the people, so on and so forth. And I think that was a little distracting, especially because for a show that has dialogue that is very explainy a lot
Yeah.
of the times, it was often explaining things that I didn't need to be explained and not explaining the things like the history of the show that I would have liked a refresher on.
I totally agree. So I tried to start a rewatch and I did not get very far. I got like basically most of the way through season 1 and I fell off. And I know other people who said the same thing and they're like, yeah, I kind of stalled out in season 2, which I think is totally fair. And I actually think probably if you look back, season 2 is maybe not as bad as people thought it was at the time. The issue is that season 1 is very, very good. And so when you watch season 1, then you watch season 2, it does feel like a big drop off. I totally agree with you. Someone had told me they watched a little bit of like an intro-y recap thing. And so I went to go put on the new season and it started playing season 5, episode 1. And so I stopped it and tried to find the recap thing. And it is there. It's in the like, on Netflix. If you go to the other, season 1, 2, 3, 4,
Um,
5, if you go in there, you can find a season 4 recap. But the problem is also for me, it was a season 4 recap. And
mm,
so it's also doing the thing of being like, I'm not even caught up for the catch up, like I
yeah.
need I need like all of it. And then so I found it to be like helpful, but not as helpful as I would have liked. And then I was just watching, I think I had the exact same thing as you, where I think I would be like, oh yeah, I guess that's where that character is, and just assuming, and then I either was right or wrong. So I'm totally with you that I felt for a show that is pretty, here's the character saying the thing we need you to know. It was too, I say this all the time. Sometimes I wish TV thought I was dumber. Sometimes I wish it was smart. I wish I thought I was smarter than I am. And I think I'm like in the middle of this where it's like, I do need you to spell things out, but I'm not quite as dumb as you you clearly think I am. So
Yeah,
yeah.
well, for me, I think it's that this show seems to be doing the opposite of what I would prefer, which is don't spell out the things that could be more subtle, but do be more explicit in reminding me of the things that I like watched 3 to 10 years ago, please.
Uh-huh.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite authors, Robin Hobb, I thought is very, very good at this in her
Mm,
books, where some people find it a little bit annoying, but like she will very explicitly just remind you of the characters and their relationships over the course of her books, especially at the beginning of her books. And if
right.
you're reading them back to back to back, you could maybe think it's a little annoying, but even then, I don't think
Sure.
it's that bad. Um, and so that's something I really like, especially because she does a lot of really subtle relationship character work
Mm.
throughout her novels. And so, and I think it's a thing that has been a thing with novels. People are very always very or at least like long series of novels, like how do you remind somebody when you're reading the Wheel of Time book 15, without doing a full reread?
Yeah.
How do you catch up on the story? That's always been a thing, and I think it's becoming more of a thing in television now too, because of the longer gaps, or they're like novel gaps. um
So true. It's a good point.
and I do think these little like refresher things need to be more regular, more normalized. There's a new book that came out recently. I think it's called The Strength of the Few, which is the sequel to The Will of the Many by James Islington or something. Very, very popular book because it's very good. I read the first one. I'm now rereading the first one before I read the
There you
second
go.
one because I read it like a couple years ago. But he also put out like a here's what you need to know from the first book,
Mm,
that I decided not to read because I enjoyed the first one so much I wanted to reread it.
right.
But I do think that like that sort of thing can be more necessary in situations like this. Um, but I think it would also help if if the show wasn't spinning its wheels for so long.
Sure.
If it had been 2 seasons and this was the third, I think that like I personally think there's you could cut out 2 seasons worth of material from Stranger Things and absolutely be in the exact same position that we're in right now. We didn't need the entire Russia arc. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't need the whatever it was team building thing that happened in season 2
Yep.
probably. You know, like there
Yep.
are definitely things that we could have skipped over. And maybe some people would say, no, that I want more Stranger Things. I like living in this world. And I don't begrudge those people by any means. But I think for telling one long form story, I think that there are better ways to do it, or ways to sort of like bridge that gap a little bit.
I'm just going to jump in very quick to say that in terms of I've been in a reading rut, and the book The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb has been sitting on my coffee table because it is a book that you told me once. I think it is your favorite book or one of your favorite books. So I'm like, I will read it, and then I'm like, I can't quite get myself to dive into it quite yet, but I will do it. And so unfortunately, I'm in a reading rut, and I probably shouldn't add The Strength of the Few and all these other hierarchy books to my list, but I have gone and done it while we were talking to add it to my bookstore wish list account, and I'll probably buy them and read them in like 3 years. No, I
I would
totally
recommend it. It's good.
great. We should do like a full book. I mean, Steven and I kind of at the end, I was like, it's when Fishback was on the other week. We were like, let's just talk books for a little bit. Well, maybe one day it will be a full book, Tastemakers. I totally agree with you. We did a thing before House of the Dragon season 2 came back, and that was only a couple of years. And we basically did a podcast that was like, what do you need to know? There are a lot of good ones on YouTube that I think probably someone has done a very, very good, like, here's what you need to know before the new season of Stranger Things season comes out.
I agree with that, and I think that those are valuable, but I think that it's difficult for a third party to do it
I
effectively because you
totally
don't
agree.
know what's going to be important. And so that's where, like, coming from the creative output of the person themselves is more effective. Or maybe like if that, then it's like, okay, well, if the person has seen the season and ahead of time because they're press, and then they can do a video like that. But then it's like, how much are they spoiling? Do you trust them? So yeah, I think it's just difficult when it's not coming from the person themselves.
And everybody has their own individual taste. I know people who do get annoyed when they watch a television show and it'll be the previously on this, and you'll be like, randomly there's a scene from 4 seasons ago and one character who's like, I'm leaving the town now, and then they leave, and then in that episode they like show back up in town. You're like, oh, that's why they were in the previously on for a thing that hasn't been
And
happening.
I feel like in those instances, that's a situation where instead of the show, and Stranger Things does this in these episodes, there is like a moment that's like, oh,
Mhm.
that person,
Yep.
and it just expects you to remember.
I
And
know.
I
I know.
only vaguely did. Like
Yeah.
context kind of helped a lot, but I only vaguely did. And so in those moments when you are being reintroduced to a character that you hadn't seen in a while, I don't think it's a matter of like, oh, that you should like remind people of who this is ahead of time. I think that you need to find a way to fit it in the context of the thing you're watching to
Yeah.
remind us who this is. And that has been done in a very clunky way in the
Mhm.
past. It's been done in
Mhm.
a way that just ignores it and acts like you should know. And I think acting like you should know is not the way you should do it, because if you don't know, it really takes you out. You're like,
100%.
and
It's
I
how
think
it Yeah.
even the clunkiest,
Yeah.
like, hey, it's this person.
I know.
Oh, that person, the person that did that, like,
Uh-huh.
even that I think is better than acting like you know, because at least then, like, it's just a little bit clunky. It's not completely taking you out of the moment, and you're not experiencing the thing that the creative, author or whatever wants you to experience.
I don't know if people noticed this, but at the top of the pod, I said, "Hey, you're Taran, the guy whose TV broke, and you weren't here last week." I don't know if people
Yeah,
noticed that, but I did it. No, but it's kind of like how I feel in every most like MCU post credit scenes for a while, where when they were doing a lot of them and they didn't really know whether or not they would be movies or whatever. Like Harry Styles would show up and he would be like, "Hi," and then they wouldn't say his name, like what character he's playing. And some people are like exciting, and I'm like, I don't know who he's supposed to be. I feel
right.
so lost. But I totally agree with you. I think that has definitely been. I think that's been the biggest kind of. If there is a complaint about Stranger Things, which I feel like it has been mostly positive, it is this sort of feeling like I'm a little lost and I'm trying to catch up, and it's probably good in spite of this happening. And you can imagine where it would be better if they didn't have to do these, like if they were doing this thing in a better way. Again, I feel like they really sort of they tell a pretty good story. I think in the first 4 episodes, in terms of what they're trying to do, is a very obvious thing that they're trying to do, where things are sort of coming into like roadblocks, obstacles that they're having to be able to accomplish that. The thing that I, for to give to Stranger Things some credit too, in terms of like the job they have to have, in terms of the amount of characters, there will be scenes that feel like, oh, certainly this is all the cast, and then we cut away and there's like 5 other people in another location. Like Stranger Things has so many people on the show, in a way that does make it feel really rich and full, and it is very fun. But there's a lot going on in Stranger Things. So I really enjoyed the 4 episodes that I saw. As I said, Mike and I will be like going into spoilery detail later tonight. Should see that podcast in your feed. It should be fun to dive into the nitty gritty, and then you and I can do maybe that a little bit as well once you've watched the other 2 episodes that are out.
Yeah.
But so far so good. I guess the other big complaint I will say, it's not just that these kids look old. I think that there is a pretty big gulf between some of the actors on the show. This is a challenge that you have when you hire this many child actors to be on a show.
Mhm.
Some of them are such better actors than others, and I honestly don't think anybody is like so bad. There are moments where I'm like, that was pretty bad, and in another scene I'm like, actually that was pretty good. From, I don't know if I want to name them. Do I want to name them? I think Noah Schnapp is like sometimes not very good, I have to admit, and I feel bad.
Which one is Noah?
He is Will.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the toughest for me.
I think he's the toughest. And there's moments later where I really actually quite like him in the scene. I think he's doing a good job. And there are other moments where I just think this is a guy who I think is acting far less than some of his counterparts. Finn Wolfhard, Mike Wheeler, I'm a little sometimes like, is he playing up the Stranger Things energy a little bit, like that sort of thing? Because he has been in stuff I actually really like, and he acts and directs. He's been in a lot of stuff. I think like Sadie Sink is undoubtedly the best actor in the whole,
Oh yeah.
out of all of them, I think. But I think it's hit or miss on these the kids who were child actors when they were cast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Will stands out. Also, just like in how old he seems, but then like his personality and outfit, it just doesn't match the most. I think.
100%.
Um,
And when you watch season 1, he's perfectly cast. He is
Yeah.
so perfect as like little boy who has been sent away into the Shadowfell, basically. The upside down.
Is couldn't they have just added in a little more in universe time to help
Yeah.
sync things up? I don't know.
I don't know why they. I guess they really want that energy of like, at least they're in high school, but
I guess
boy.
so.
And you know what's funny? They are the same age that the like Steves and Nancy's and Jonathan's were when they were in season 1. And those, like, maybe they look a little too old, but I don't really think so. And
I
yet
think
these kids, I think just because
Jonathan
yeah.
does really stretching the limits.
But I guess also it's a thing of like, we've seen them grow, like they look so much, and especially when you're rewatching and you're like, oh yeah, you're like a baby in season 1, and now you're not. You're just not a baby anymore because it's been too long. Millie Bobby Brown literally has a child. She has her own child, and it's fine. It's honestly fine, but there's so many things that aren't in the show that are like production things that are kind of annoying. And what are you gonna do? It's the way the show got made.
All right. Well, that's Stranger Things. More on that later from Grace and Mike. Should we talk about some of the other stuff?
Tell me what you've
going on?
watched, Aaron. That's what I'm excited for. Yeah. What
Let
else
me
is
tell
going on?
you. Let me tell you the thing that I think I've probably liked the most.
Please do.
That I've been watching. And it's not one that I expected to like at all. Because I did not like their previous output.
Fun.
But
Yeah.
I have been watching The Mighty Nein and loving it.
Great. That's so fun, because The Mighty Nein is the thing that for me made me fall in love with Critical Role as a thing. It is the season that we talked about this a little bit for Mighty Nein. If people don't know, it's the adaptation of a live action role playing game of D&D that is played by people who are voice actors. And so that was the shtick of them playing D&D, and they started in the middle of one of the campaigns they were playing, and that's The Legend of Vox Machina. That has been adapted as a television show. When they finished that campaign, they did do campaign 2, which is now known as the Mighty Nein, and this is the adaptation of that campaign. So set in the same world at a different time, but new characters, blah 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 blah. I fell in love with it because I was getting to see it at the beginning. I think if you go back to watch the first sort of like live streamed YouTube episodes or Twitch episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina campaign 1, it's pretty bad, like video audio quality, so it's a little rough. By the time they get to season 2, it's great. And so I love this cast and this season so much, and so I'm very excited that you seem to be liking it so far, because sort of like, years later, this could be your entry point into this thing that I really adore and I really love.
Yeah. I'm 4 episodes in. The 5th episode's airing this week. And I'm really liking it. And I say that from the perspective of somebody who checked out Vox Machina.
Yep.
And bounced hard off of that. Like, just it was really not my thing.
Yeah.
Primarily, I think like the humor and the dialogue and the characters and the plot line.
My favorite character from season 2 is the character who I think is I don't know if annoying is, but it just doesn't jive with me, which is the same character who created the same actor, Sam Riegel, who plays Not the Brave in season 2, a little goblin girl. He plays a character in season 1. He plays Scanlan, and it's just like not my sensibility from season 1, and yet he's my favorite character. It has my favorite character in season 2. So yeah, there is tonally. It's not like it's not immature, like Jester is immature, but the tonality is just a little different, I think.
Yeah. Me. So like so I will, if you checked out Vox Machina and had the same response that I did, and I've seen a lot of people that have, that did have the same response.
Yeah.
Where it was like, it felt like it did feel immature. It felt very like, it felt like that sanitized, witty banter, except they also swore, which almost made it worse. That it was like immature, childlike, witty banter with swearing, which is exactly what a child would do.
It has a little bit of this is the first time they're playing D&D energy, where when you learn how to play in D, there's a lot of rules, but also some of the rules is like do whatever you want, like be like part of it is like then whenever you try to do the thing you want to do, then the dungeon master, the game runner, is like, okay, like roll to see if you can do that thing. But you can also just be like making sex jokes and whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And sometimes there's that like energy that happens, and like your first, not that this was like
I think
the
that's
first game
exactly
of D&D.
it. It felt more like a podcast than a TV show.
Right.
It felt like podcast banter, but not even great podcast banter.
Yeah.
And the Mighty Nein, I will say, still has hints of that.
100%. 100%. It's still there.
Especially there's I think one particular character,
Jester.
Who still has that energy, but it's mostly just that one character. And so instead of it feeling like an issue with the world or the writing in general, it feels like it's confined to that character, and it feels like this is a character who has these traits. And she is not, she feels like, especially over these 4 episodes, like an actual person who maybe has a reason to be acting that way. And everyone else feels a lot more grounded in different kinds of ways. And they're all obviously like pretty exaggerated versions of characters in general, but like it's taking its time to build its world, to introduce its characters, and to sort of like put them on a path that feels very interesting. And that's really fun. Even just it being like an animated show, I often bounce off of these because of one reason or another. But like this feels like a proper story, and it feels like it's going somewhere interesting. Um, honestly, I think my biggest complaint is the character designs. They all look way too cool, too fast.
That yeah, it's totally fair. Yeah, because they're supposed to be.
Specifically,
Yeah,
the green guy with the white hair,
that's
or the white
Ford.
stripe.
Yeah,
It's
Ford.
like his introduction is like he's like this coward, not cowardly, but like this like really like he can't fight very well and stuff,
Yeah.
but he
Mhm.
still looks super buff and perfect. And I'm like, this would have been a cooler transition if he started looking less cool and then
Yeah.
eventually started looking more
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I don't know how much, like, can't remember how much, like, D&D you've played, but as somebody who runs a fair bit of D&D, one of my biggest annoyances as you start to learn, and I did this when the first character I made, you're asked to, like, you gotta build your backstory for your character. And so you start to do that. And I would have these people who would come to me and they're like, all right, my level 1 character is a character who fought off an entire army of goblins and saved the princess of the land, and is like because they're a folk here, and like you pick these, you're
Mhm.
like that. And then, like, if you play D&D, you would get killed by like maybe one wolf,
Yeah.
like you're a level 1 character is a little squishy person, a little squishy individual in the world. And they're like, but no, I did all of the most heroic things you could ever imagine. That's my character's backstory. And you're like, yeah, but you're a little level 1. Eventually you'll be really cool and powerful, but you're not there yet. And so, yes, I think that's probably fair that they show up looking cooler than maybe they
And
should,
that's
just in the
maybe
world
like
building of the show. But
a
we'll see.
budget problem where it's like having to draw new versions of the characters, or I don't know.
No,
I
do you know
don't
what
fully understand the animation, but
it's it's probably that when they designed character artwork, like, they want this to look like the character art that people saw when they first watched episode
yeah.
1 of Critical Role, and so they did. I had a thing where I was a little thrown off because I thought Knott's voice sounds a little different than I think Sam Riegel sounds like Knott at the table, and I was a little like, that's not quite Knott's voice, but, like, Sam Riegel created the character, of course that's Knott's voice in the animated show, but I was a little like, "Oh, that feels a little different to me," because when you watch people play D&D at a table, they're often in and out of their voice, and it's just a little, like, I do this too when I'm playing sometimes, where, like, if my character has an accent and then I'll say something to somebody and I'm clearly, like, saying it out of character, and then realize, like, oh, actually my character would have just said that in character. So there's just all of these things that,
Mm.
this is a different version of the thing that they played. The thing that happens in D&D, and Matt Mercer has talked about this, that's I think is really cool about the show, is that when you play D&D at a table, everything is from the perspective of the adventurers. So the people who are playing, you can never give a scene that's like the evil big bad's master plan layer, because
Mhm.
you would be spoiling it. But in this television show, you can. And so I think people are really enjoying it from that perspective of they've added the first ever scene in the show is a thing that we would have never seen, like we never saw when we watched the tabletop version of the game. So I do really enjoy the Mighty Nine so far as well. I know people who are enjoying it. So I don't think it's everybody's cup of tea. I think it's a little bit niche. I think you have to be a little bit nerdy to probably like, this is magic,
It
fantasy,
what I will
animated
say
show.
is it is it's scratching the itch of like epic fantasy to me,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
it feels like a broad world,
mhm.
and it has this element, and honestly it's part of my worry about the show moving forward is
Well, there
that
are men in it too, and you probably shouldn't say broad world moving forward, but that's okay there.
um I'm a little worried that like once the band gets together, so to speak, I
Yeah,
will like it less, because
yeah,
I've really enjoyed seeing all these disparate characters come
yeah.
from all these different places to get together. And that really strikes again, like that epic fantasy sort of thing. So we'll see where things go from here, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Definitely would recommend it so far.
I watched the first few episodes, and a little while ago, I had screeners for it, and I didn't move past, and I think more have been released than I've actually. Yeah, that's right, because 4 have been out. Um, can you tell me the first episode that they play at the table? The inciting incident is a carnival or a circus, and like a battle at a carnival or circus.
Yeah,
Have
that's
they?
like episodes 3 and 4, I think.
So yeah, episodes 1 and 2 then are like we're not even in the show. Like in the YouTube Twitch version of the show. So
Right.
that's interesting. Yeah. Anyway.
I think super important for them to have included those episodes, because if it had started at the carnival, I think it would not
They,
have been nearly as good.
they did play those sessions. But those were sessions that allowed, like, they might have the players might have made choices about their characters that they actually, as they were playing it, were like, don't like that. Like they could, like, I don't know how much this is true, but like they could have had a different voice. They could have chosen a different like subclass. Like they did those sessions to feel comfortable in the skin of those characters and tweak. So it makes sense to me that they didn't, in a version where you want to show up on session 1 and feel like we've mostly kind of figured out what this will be moving forward. It's not that they don't probably make some changes. It makes sense to me that they didn't show, like, that's not where they started the Twitch version of the show, but that you can write and show that information in the television show version of the Mighty Nein. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, that's I would say my top pick so far. Although there is another show that I'm watching, it's a bit older, but I did start Task as well. I'm 2 episodes in.
What do you
And it's
think?
very good.
It is really good.
It's very good.
Task is a thing that I think for a lot of people felt a little bit like it's very short. I think it's only 7 episodes. And I feel like that's a show that sort of like burns through plot where you're like, how is there more to the show? And then when you see the finale, I think the finale sort of settles it all. I do think Tom Pelphrey is, I think at this moment I'd have to really go back and think. I maybe be like super biased, mostly because I had a very lovely conversation with him when I interviewed him. But I'm super biased about his performance, and I think I would probably give him. He's the lead of that. I mean, him and Ruffalo are kind of both leads of that show, but I just think Tom Pelphrey's performance is amazing. And I also shouted her out, I think last week on the podcast. Amelia Jones, who's in the show as well, it shows up at the end of The Running Man, is so good in like 20 minutes of that movie. And I think Amelia Jones, like, buy stock in Amelia Jones is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, she's very good in it. Tom Pelphrey is very good in it. The acting all around, I think, is very, very good.
Ruffalo's Ruffalo. Ruffalo's good.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem as electric to me as the other characters, but he is good, I think, in the show.
So yeah, 2 episodes in, really enjoying that. I also started season 3 of The Diplomat.
I think I went to go watch that and realized I didn't finish season 2, which is not an indication
Well,
of
it's hard
that
to do.
show.
Season 2 is very short.
I know, right? It's only like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really, yeah, and I like it, and I don't know why I didn't watch it. It must have been a bunch of other things on at the time. Or remember last year, Taran, it was like the year of the political like spy, like not that this show's
Yeah.
so political spy thrillery, but maybe I just thought I watched The Diplomat and I watched something else. So I didn't finish it. I need to finish it and then watch the new season.
Yeah, it's I thought it started very strong and then it slowed down a little bit. 3 episodes in. Loved the first episode, thought the second episode was a little meh, and then the third episode was like picking back up. So enjoying it overall. I also checked out this is a show that has blown up, I think. Doing very well. The Beast in Me.
Yeah.
Um
I talked about this a little bit last week. I watched the first episode and I did quite like it. And it's become a little, I mean, I think it's just the thing of if you can be a pretty good show, and then like a 7.5, I think fits that mark. If you can be a really good show on Netflix, you will be like talked about because everybody has Netflix.
I think more importantly, if you can have a really good premiere,
Right.
really good
Right.
pilot episode,
Right.
you can, and maybe that is the Netflix formula because a good pilot episode can carry the entire thing, which is, in my opinion, what's happening with The Beast in Me, because I also liked the first episode quite a bit, and then very quickly was like, oh,
I've heard the data
there's a
is
whole
that
rest of the show I need to watch, and it's not nearly as good.
I've heard the one of the inflection points is also the end of episode 3, and I've heard the ends of episode 3 have been, there are Netflix executive notes that say you need a hook because it's one of your breaking points, in which if people, I think basically if people watch 3 episodes of a thing, they basically know how they feel about it, and they will either at that point choose to watch more or quit watching. So the ends of episodes end of episode 3 are often given a hook to make you say, I will watch the next episode.
That's
And so
very funny because I decided to stop watching the show roughly after starting episode 3. Didn't finish it.
So you got to finish it. What if the end of episode 3 has a hook? It would make you keep watching.
And I was like, this is getting more and more ridiculous. And there's 8 episodes of this, and I don't feel like I have too many other things to give my time to.
So we'll see. Maybe if you go back, maybe you'll never go back to it, in which they need to put the hook at the end of episode 2.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway. But then maybe you started the episode. You're like, because you started it, right? Is that what you're saying?
I started the episode, yeah.
And you're like, nah, never mind.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling to be like, actually, I'm going to check myself and not not watch more. Yeah.
It was genuinely the experience.
I'll tell you there's 2 other things that I feel like have had. That one is a show in its 2nd season that I feel like everybody is raving about, and I have not finished it. But A Man on the Inside. Did you watch any Man on the Inside season 2?
I watched the first episode.
People who have watched the whole, people were like, "This is what I needed right now. This was so great. This is in the Mike Schur lane of your Parks and Recs, your The Good Place, of just like it knows what it is now, and it's figuring itself out, and it's got all of these, I think somebody said in one episode, like, it's like everybody I know was in it, like it's all of these. I think Jason Mantzoukas shows up in the show in season 2 at some point. People really, really loved this, and I feel like, kind of Mike Schur knows how to do this. Is kind of how I feel about A Man on the Inside. So I'm excited to finish this, but I just know people have been super, super high on it. So if you hadn't checked out season 1, you should do it. And the premise of the show is that he works with a private investigator because there is a crime that happened in a retirement home, and he goes undercover. He's the man on the inside. That's sort of the season 1 premise, and season 2 is him continuing to work with the private investigator in other matters. But people really like this, so
I liked the first episode. I'm excited to keep it on and watch more. I did also finally check out Pluribus. I am current with Pluribus. I think it's very good. I wish it were better, personally.
That's kind of how
I think it's very good.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
It had so much hype after, like, the critics had seen episode 1, and it had so much hype. And so I watched it and I was like, that was really good. That was really cool. It wastes no time. It feels like a pilot of the sort of, like, you can see that Vince Gilligan, I think, is like of a time when they made pilots like Lost, like this is not a slow burn into the premise of the show, which I really, really liked. I just haven't watched a lot more than that. So
I will also say, having just officially published my book, it was very strange to watch Pluribus and The Beast in Me back to back, because both shows feature an author.
Writers. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I mean, the thing about Pluribus, the thing I like about Vince Gilligan a lot is that he's so good with details, and he's so good with, like, really, like, driving in and going deeper and deeper on a thing. And I feel like Pluribus is a bit more broad. It's a bit more of a like, it's an idea show more than it is a detail show. And I think it's still very good.
I agree.
But it's not quite everything I would hope for with a Vince Gilligan show, which is kind of on me. Like, I had expectations of a Vince Gilligan thing being a different thing. And if this hadn't been a Vince Gilligan show with those expectations, and I had just turned it on, I think I would love it. I think I would like it more because my expectations wouldn't be in the way. But I'm still enjoying it, and I do think, I mentioned this before too, that, like, when I started Better Call Saul, I was similarly kind of like, oh, is this all we're getting? And then it became something amazing. So I still have hope that that I will end up really, really loving it. But as of right now, I am just kind of currently enjoying it and having a good time watching Ray Seahorn do her thing.
Yeah, I chatted a little bit, like, separately. I think at some point I would like to do. This is the type of show that I think would warrant a little bit of like us deep diving spoilery, probably when the season is over, most likely, because we can really see. But I think the thing about the show, and Antonio really sort of like brought this front of mind for me, is it. I think that the show asked so many interesting questions, and the thing that is the most intriguing to me is like, what does he actually, what did he, why did he want to make the show, and what does he actually want to talk about, what does he want to do? And I do think that it will be something that is super interesting, and at the moment it's sort of like, oh, so many of those things could be interesting, and it's not that it will only be about one thing, but like Antonio talks about, it opening both like scientific questions, philosophical questions, and how much does he want to like drill, how much does he want to be broad in his themes, or how much does he want to drill down in certain aspects of this specific sort of sci-fi thing that is being presented in the world? And I think that that is interesting to think about, and the show will sort of, Josh Wigler would say this phrase a lot, which is, let the show tell you what it is, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time. And I think once the show tells us what it is, I will then start to appreciate it more, because I will see the ways in which Vince Gilligan is trying to tell us what his show is and what he's thinking about and the types of questions he wants to explore and presumably try to answer. And so I'm excited for more of this. It's just been busy, but I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are high on it as well and are enjoying. This is probably the most meaty show on TV right now, like the thing that feels the most ripe for then conversations with people about like what's happening. It was like such a big, there were so many things that you could dive into in this show.
Yeah.
The other one that I feel like it's gone a little viral this week, and I, even in my limited time I was online, Taran, and I presume the answer to this is like no or maybe, but Heated Rivalry, is this
Oh,
come
no.
across your, this is a Canadian show, and so I might be a little biased in thinking that it went viral because uh, anything that's Canadian, people will tell you that it's Canadian. Taran, I don't know if you've been. I will tell you if you mention someone's name, I will probably say, "Did you know that they're Canadian?" Heated Rivalry is a queer hockey show, so and people are loving it. The idea being that these two hockey players are on different teams, and the idea is like publicly they are in a heated rivalry, when in reality they are having a love affair. That is the premise of the show. People seem to really enjoying it. I chatted with a stranger today about the show Heated Rivalry. They are they work for a book publisher, and they said the name is awful. The name Heated Rivalry is a really bad name for the
It's
show.
not great, I will
It's
say.
so bad. I guess the idea is like hockey is cold, but their love affair is like it's heated, like it's the opposite, but it's not cute. It's the lady said it's a little obtuse, huh? I said it's a little obtuse. So Heated Rivalry, people are really liking this. But I think sort of in a fun, like, I think if you look at this and you think, oh, I might like that, you'll like it. And if you're like, I don't know if that's for me, you could try it and bounce out of it pretty quickly. But Heated Rivalry, always getting to shout out a Canadian show, Taran, on the pod. So
yeah. Well, a couple more shows.
please.
I've also checked out All Her Fault.
Mm-hmm.
This is the show with Sarah Snook, Dakota Fanning, and it's about a missing child. And I'm about 3 episodes in. I will say, I thought this show was something different than it is. I thought going into, I was like, oh, this is like a serious thriller, very serious, very dour.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's extremely campy.
Well, it's Peacock, but yes,
It's
I feel you.
very ridiculous. This show. It is. It crosses the line from like bad into, oh, it's just campy and fun almost. And so I'm still currently watching it. It reminds me a little bit of like the like was it called Revenge? Yeah, like this style of show that is just like really soap opera-y
Mm-hmm.
and like just really going for it. Not at all really serious.
The thing I heard about this show was that I haven't watched it. Is that it defies tropes? Is that there is a way in which the show could be very tropey, and like stereotyped, and it doesn't. And I don't know if that feels true based on what you have seen, Taran, but that is
in terms of character, theme, or plot.
I would assume sort of like maybe plot. I think that's what I was, but I don't 100%.
I don't know if I've gotten far enough.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's only 4 out right now, but
well, because the thing I think I heard about was like based on what the subject matter is, it feels like there are responses that people have that would feel like they're very tropey, and that's not what the show is trying to like explore. But I have not watched, so I can't fully speak to that.
It's a lot of the title immediately becomes clear because it's a lot of like, well,
right,
she's a working mom,
right,
and it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that.
right.
So honestly, I'm not entirely sure exactly where it goes yet. I will say, like, all of the husbands suck. They're all just like, what? I have to make a sandwich myself? Like, genuine, like this is what I mean when I say it's very campy, or at least part of it. And it's very much a whodunit as well. It's very much like everyone's a suspect. Who's the person? So I think it's kind of fun, but I'm not sure. I think it's like 8 episodes total. It's another one of those ones where it's like,
it is 8.
I would say this compared to The Beast in Me. The Beast in Me also was a very campy show, but it initially presents itself as something a bit more serious and interesting, and then became more campy over time. And that lost me. It didn't cross into the fun zone because it was also trying to take itself too seriously. All Her Fault is not trying to take itself as seriously, and thus is more fun, and I'm more willing to go along with the ride.
Is it American? Like, does Sarah Snook have an American accent?
Yes.
It's filmed in Melbourne. That's why I was like interesting. But yeah, no, it was fun. Yeah. Okay, All Her Fault. I do need to watch it. I do feel like there's a little. I feel like we're not quite in like earlier this year. I was like, we're like in a golden age of. I don't think we're there, but I feel like there is a lot of good TV you could be watching right now. And so, unfortunately, All Her Fault becomes a little bit of a casualty of that.
Yeah, I mean,
and Canada doesn't have Peacock. Canada doesn't have Peacock. So.
I wouldn't prioritize it unless it like really fits your niche.
Got it.
But if it does, I think you'll probably enjoy it. And then finally, I also watched a couple episodes of It, Welcome to Derry. And it was especially interesting to watch this basically back to back with Stranger Things, because I think in some ways it is doing Stranger Things a little better than Stranger Things is currently doing Stranger Things.
Do you think it's because the kids look like kids?
That's a big part of it.
I think the kids are pretty good. And there's this, I saw, and I don't mean to spoil, but you'll know what happened. These kids who are being tortured by the idea of Pennywise the Clown and bad things happening in their town, went a little viral on Twitter as well, because there's a scene where basically the kids decide, what if we drug ourselves up so much that we can't be scared by the clown? It's like, actually, not the worst idea, but it's very funny plot premise for these like kids in 1950s. Like, what if we just take all of our parents' sleeping pills?
Yeah. So the first genre tag here on IMDb is body horror. And this is, I remember when the pilot came out, I was like, yeah, there's like big, strong reactions to this pilot for some reason.
Yes.
And that's because body horror should be the first tag on this show. It is extremely a body horror show, which is not exactly what you would expect, I think. But yeah, it's pretty intense.
I told the showrunners, because I did a junket with them, and I said, like, yo, I know it's on HBO, but like, it's a lot. They're like, yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, it is a lot, and it continues to be a lot all throughout. I've seen up to episode 5. That's the episodes that they gave us before the season started. It is a perfectly sensible place to have stopped. I believe 6 came out this past week. So I would like to watch a little more. I'm not like, I guess, like current. I do think it's good. I don't think it's amazing, but I don't think it's bad either. So
Yeah, if anything, it's like for me, if you could take the vibes, or not necessarily just the vibe, but like the actual children angle
yeah.
and scarier actual horror angle of it, and combine it with the sort of like um larger plot and kind of like genuine earnestness of Stranger Things, I think I want those things combined.
It's also doing
Um,
it also is doing a fair bit in terms of like I mean the story of it. So obviously this is non-adapted material. So they're like they're adapting things. They're doing a prequel to the book. And so they did work with Stephen King. Apparently they like would send him the scripts and he would provide feedback and whatever. But this is new material, and they are doing a lot of like social commentary and things like that, and that does make sense for the time period. But this is also a show that in addition to all of the kids, it's also doing it is a show that has a lot of black characters in the show. It's talking a lot about racism at this
mhm,
time. At the same time, you have I think episode 5 is almost predominantly or at least there are huge sections of the show that are about actually flashbacks to indigenous like times when it would just been indigenous people living in that area and how they might have been affected by Pennywise the clown. I think all that stuff is actually like really great and interesting, and so it's like I think it's like it is doing a lot, and I do think it's like actually doing a lot well.
mm.
So again, I don't think it's like the best show I've ever seen, but I do appreciate the show a fair bit, especially because it is like it's the scary clown show, Taran. You know, it's like that's that's what it is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's I think it for TV shows. I finished Nobody Wants This, and it was fine all the way through. I finished Mitchell and Webb Are Not Helping, and I
Mhm.
thought it was fine. Um, I
Mhm.
watched Death by Lightning, and I thought it
Mhm.
was fine. It
You watch
was
all of
good.
it? 4
I watched all
episodes.
of it. There's
I
only
also
4 episodes, so it's easy to watch all of.
I think that's a show that probably when I think back on it, there's specific things that I think will like elevate it that I think the entire show wasn't great, but there's certain parts of it that I really enjoyed. Like I do think Matthew McFadyen's performance is really
Mhm.
good. Like I think Nick Offerman and some like apparently that's kind of what Chester Arthur was like. I feel like he feels like such a buffoon, but he is a gigantic buffoon in that show. But um I think I'll remember pieces of that show more fondly than I will remember the whole show. But because it's only 4 episodes, you can kind of I feel like I can kind of give the recommendation to watch it because it's only you're not going to spend it's not 8, you know. So
Mhm.
yeah. Um.
Um, I watched through Peacemaker season 2. I thought it was
Mhm.
very good.
I like it too. I like it.
There's a fun kind of reveal-ish thing that happens that, I thought was very, very good.
Yep.
Um, I also checked out Boots. I watched 1
Yeah.
episode of Boots on Netflix.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure it's good. I think it's just, like, not quite my thing, in terms of just, like honestly, I think I'm too old for it. I was just like the coming of age thing is just like, I don't know. You need to be able to speak to me a little more,
It's
maybe.
like it's probably good that this exists. I don't know that I need to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's and honestly, this is embarrassing. A huge part of this is that all of the characters look too similar with their shaved heads, and I
Fair
have a
enough.
really hard
That's
time.
so funny. Well, you always say this. You say, "I want more military shows, but they shouldn't be gay." You always say that.
Yeah.
Um, move just very quickly. Zootopia 2 won the box office. Yeah, it had like on top of just having like this movie was so popular, the first one that came out, and they made another one. And I've heard it's not great, although it has a 7.7. I don't know. I heard this was like not great, but like there's some characters like Ki Kwan's character. I think he plays a snake. People seem to like him. It made a bunch of money in China as well, so that's like
Mm.
not just in terms of like it made a lot of money in America, but it also made a lot of money overseas. So this movie is just doing well. Um, but it did. I think it is significant. Like it beat Wicked for good. Like, and the other thing too is I've been hearing a lot of people say there have not really been a lot of kids movies over the last few months, and I do feel like parents. This was also a holiday weekend, so they get basically a 4-day weekend opening, Thursday through Sunday. Big opening weekend for people to go to the movies more often. So it was really smart for them to put this out here. And there just has been a little bit of a dearth of kids movies, which always, if you have a successful one, it will do extremely well at the box office. So this is just like no surprise. I honestly think doesn't really mean anything, but it won the weekend, beat Wicked for good. So yeah.
Well, speaking of children's movies, I did watch Elio and the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie. I thought Elio was fun and cute, perfectly acceptable. I thought, if you recall, if you have a good memory, you might remember that when I talked about How to Train Your Dragon and people were like, oh, why was this made, given that it's just the same thing, but live action? I was like, that sounds kind of fun to me. I'm down for that. Then I watched the movie and regrettably had the same opinion that I disagreed with originally, which was, why am I watching this? It's the exact same movie, but a little bit worse.
Yeah, I feel like this thing where you're like, why did we make this? And the answer is money, which is fine. And then the other thing, you're like, it's kind of annoying that it's just the movie, but you're like, well, at least the movie was, good. Like, at least they didn't make the same movie, but the movie was bad. So I watched it was like rewatching the animated movie,
I'm happy for the children who maybe experienced this movie for the first time, but it was live action instead of animated and they enjoyed it in that way. I don't think I'm a big enough fan of the original. I liked them, but I didn't like them enough to rewatch the movie, and I felt like I was just rewatching the movie. So that was a little unfortunate.
I swear I saw that. Oh, the Moana trailer came out, and it's live action Moana, and it just looks like it's Moana. So I don't really. Yeah. It's like it's gonna make a bunch of money, but I don't know. And apparently they're doing another. I said this to you before we started, and then we bring them. Apparently they're doing another live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I have such a fondness for the '90s, like wild giant puppet Ninja. Like, I love those movies so much, and so I'm a little like, don't try again. Only if you find those exact puppeteers and do that.
Yeah, this is my jam.
This is the most. I think I get the most nostalgia hit from like this movie.
I had this on VHS.
Me too. They're the best.
And it had previews and commercials for movies that I never saw or understood, but I loved them. I loved watching the previews before the movie on VHS for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I love this movie, and there's just one more. They didn't do two, right? I think that the costumes are so good. It's in that era of like, it's practical, and it is just. I guess there is is there a third one?
It looks like it.
I guess there is. I love these so much. Wow. Yeah, 4.8. Is that why I don't really remember it?
Probably.
I love these movies so much. We watch them a lot.
The turtles are back in time.
Wait, ancient Japan?
Ancient Japan?
I don't think have I ever seen this? I must.
No, I haven't.
The cat. Hold on. Let's look at the description. When journalist April New discovers an ancient scepter with magical powers, the turtles must cowabunga their way back to 17th century Japan to rescue her from the evil clutches of Lord Noinaga. There is no way this holds up, Taran.
This sounds like the kind of thing I would have loved as a kid.
When did it come out? 1993. I would have. 93. This is so in my wow. Anyway, apparently they're doing a live action Ninja Turtles again. So, have you seen? Just speaking of like costuming and like, did the Paddington Broadway show go viral for you at all? It won't show up on IMDb because it's
no.
There's a Paddington like Broadway. I don't know if it's a musical or play, and they've done like figured out how to put someone in like a Paddington suit, and every response was like, I don't mean to sound like I'm overreacting, but I would die for this Paddington. It's so cute. So look it up later and everyone else go look at live action Paddington and just die of cuteness. But anyway,
hold on. I think I have an image here that I can show.
It's just the cutest thing in the world, and he just walks around on stage in that set. I think there's a woman who plays Paddington, like I think she is a little person who's inside of there, but I can't wait for that to be a thing. Anyway, bring back real live, let's do more of basically like Jim Hensoning, anyway.
Well, that reminds me, speaking of Wicked,
Mhm.
what I have seen about Wicked is complaints about the visuals. Have you seen this?
Not really.
Which is surprising to me because I thought the first one looked pretty good. One of its strong points was that it was like cool visually.
I think this is the thing that Shannon and I were like, that's probably the best part, is it looks so great.
So this is surprising. Yeah, so it was surprising to me to hear this, that people are saying it looked very flat and gray. I have not watched it yet, so I can't comment. But yeah, I was curious if I guess you haven't heard it much.
Well, there's a thing that he said. John Chu said that he forgot to color grade them, both movies. He said he just forgot to color grade them, and I don't know really what that means. Like someone can explain.
Is that real?
To me?
He said he forgot.
Yeah, and
What?
I guess he could have been being sarcastic, but
he must be sarcastic.
No, but he like he oh I see. No, it was okay, hold on. I got duped.
Yeah.
Apologies. But he also got duped. It was, how there's the Twitter discussing film. Have you seen that? Discussing film? There's one called Discussing Fish, which is a fake, and it puts out fake. It's basically The Onion, basically. And he says John M. Chu has confirmed that he forgot to do the color grading for Wicked films. My fault, he says. Source Variety. John Chu says clickbait.
So he fell for it in the sense that he thought it was real.
That someone was
claim.
reporting, that he's claimed that.
But it was a parody based on, I think, probably the real complaints about the color of the movie. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I didn't really think it looked. I didn't really think it. I thought it looked great, but I'm kind of notoriously like. So I will tell. So I bought a DVD player, Trent, because I have. This is gonna be. It's just so silly, but I did get sent like DVD screeners, like for your consideration screeners. So it's been very cool. Neon's in particular is amazing. It's very cool. And I put the DVD in, and for the first time ever, I was like, "Oh, this looks terrible." And I guess I've heard that for your consideration screeners, they basically put out whatever quality they're most comfortable putting in to try to deter you from like ripping the DVD and like pirating it. Which immediately I saw all the DVDs that I had pirated on, like they're available all online. But
I have noticed that when I get screeners for things, it's hard to watch them in like the best quality, which I think is silly, but now I understand, I guess, part of the reasoning.
But you and I will know that sometimes our email is just like across the whole thing, or like a thing pops up, there's other way, but I guess you could get rid. People are smarter than me and can get rid of that. Anyway, the DVD quality was horrendous, and I was like, wow, should I have actually bought a Blu-ray, and then I should buy Blu-ray? But I'm a person who notoriously is kind of like, I don't really notice these. Like I would have used the TV that you said is broken, that you is broken. I have to.
You couldn't have used the previous TV that's broken. You may be the current one.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, Wicked, I think, seems to be at the forefront of a sort of criticism that I'm seeing pop up lately about specifically lighting. That I've seen some people talk about Devil Wears Prada. There's a screenshot. It's specifically the one in this trailer image that like is so evenly lit. And then they're comparing it to the original, which has a very similar shot, but that has much more realistic lighting. And they're calling this like the Netflix lighting, or like, whatever. And that is sort of sweeping the industry as like everything is becoming like really bright and evenly lit. And there's no like shadows, and it's, it makes older actors' skin look better, and it's also easier to like do post production on, because you're not making any actual decisions while doing production. And Wicked, I think, has become, has gotten into this because of, again, the similar complaints about, like, you can even see it maybe a little bit here in this trailer image, where like the sky looks pretty gray. And just like people have been talking about this. That's what I've seen in my feeds.
There was a TikTok or Instagram account that did a comparison about old, like the way in which old movies were shot and new movies are shot, in the way in which in new movies, a lot of the times, because it probably is maybe filmed somewhere and cheaply and whatever, like the background is often like all blurred and it's all the same or whatever. Like the focus is on the person in the picture instead of a picture that is about everything in the shot. And so
Yeah.
like you'd be like, if you're in someone's house, like it's them sitting down and everything in their house is sort of like out in and you can see that. And I don't know what this is called, and I whatever, but as opposed to these new stuff where like the photo that you have up, which does have like Elphaba and the like, that shot is about her instead of like what are all the cool things that could also be behind her, that gives a movie like that so much more depth. I don't feel like I noticed that when I watched Wicked. I feel like Wicked has so much cool, but it probably is more in my recollection, like more times when the shot is like we're specifically trying to show you Emerald City, and so we're scanning through Emerald City like on a drone. Like yeah, at that point the stuff all looks good, but I think probably other people are feeling like no, anytime it's like Elphaba and Glinda talking or two people talking, like all we get in the shot
Yeah,
is
really
like,
shallow depth of field, not
right,
showing up, because that was the thing, is that they have apparently these beautiful practical sets.
right.
And people are feeling like it's just not translating as much as it should or could. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. There's two more movies I watched. Thunderbolts, which I thought was fine.
I really liked Thunderbolts. I liked it a lot. I
I
guess I feel like it's maybe a little forgettable, but I thought the like themes of the movie were really powerful.
For a Marvel movie, it was good. But I
Right.
think what I realized when watching Thunderbolts is that I don't really like Marvel movies anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm finally fatigued.
You lasted longer than everyone else, I think. So
I also watched Bugonia,
what
which
what'd you
I
think?
really enjoyed. I thought this was very, very fun.
I mean, I feel bad, but I'm thinking about it. But the ending is controversial. I I don't know. I like it. I feel like I can so understand why someone feels like they walk out of that and be like, no, thank you. But I think there's a version of it. I think I understand why the people who think there's a version of this that would be so much better. I think I could see like there could be, but it's not what it is, and I'm just a little bit more because I think the performances are so good in this. I'm like, I just like it. I don't know. I really
The
like it.
performances are incredible
And I
in
think
this.
there's a messaging
Yeah.
at the end with the version that it is that I
Do you want to do an impromptu spoiler at the end of the podcast here? Is there
sure.
anything else to talk about?
Just I don't even think there's much coming up, right? So this week I
Oh,
don't
right,
really.
coming up. Oh, there is one thing coming up that I want to mention that I'm excited about.
Okay, let's do that and then
We'll
we'll
circle back to Bugonia. We'll do a little spoiler. Spartacus, House of Asher,
sick.
uh, is dropping on Friday. Um, I love Spartacus. At least I did the first two like seasons. I loved Blood and Sand, and I loved Gods of the Arena.
Mhm.
Take or leave once they recast Spartacus. Um, but they're bringing it back. The original creator of the Spartacus show on Stars is back, and this is an alternate history where this character of Asher essentially sort of like wins Spartacus, the show.
Sick.
I won't go too in depth, but he's like the schemer character of Spartacus. And he does not win in the original show, but in this version, he wins. And it's like, what if that happened and he was rewarded for winning, and so on and so forth. And I'm honestly super pumped about this because the original Spartacus was an utterly ridiculous, like, just to make this clear, Spartacus is so far beyond camp. It is
Mhm.
so ridiculous. There's a huge amount of violence and a huge amount of nudity, and the dialogue is utterly ridiculous, and it's just pure like hedonism from start to finish. The original season aired starting in 2010. I had just got into college, and I binged this in a dorm room and had a great time with it. I'm a little worried that, like, 15 years removed from that, I'm not going to have as much fun with the way that the show operates.
Mhm.
But I'm excited to check out House of Asher. I think this could be really, really fun.
Okay, fun. Yeah, I see literally. Oh, the Abandons is a Netflix show. It does have Lena Headey and Gillian Anderson.
Yeah.
This looks to be, Old West. And I actually did hear there was a podcast. The Rest is Entertainment. I've talked about it a lot on the show. They were talking about the greatest comebacks ever, and one of the things that one of the hosts said is westerns. And I was like, that's not true. Nobody goes to see a western anymore. And she was, and as soon as she said, I said that, she was like, I wasn't on the pod, but I was listening. She said, Yellowstone. Yellowstone is just a
Yeah.
western. I said, oh,
TV
yeah,
shows,
that's so smart.
westerns are really crushing TV. Yeah, you don't think of a movie that's gonna hit, but TV shows are, yeah.
So this is in line with what's that? There was a show that came out last year around this time that was like a big, gross, gory western. Remember
Yeah.
that was? This is The Abandons. We'll see. I'll probably watch an episode. Mostly because I like the cast. Like a female-centered western seems kind of interesting to me. So this is kind of the
Gillian
only other.
Anderson, Lena
Yeah,
Headey. I mean, that's star power right there.
Nick Robinson. I really like Nick Robinson. He was in Love, Simon. So yeah, I'll check this out. We'll see if I like it. 10 episodes. That maybe feels like a lot for this, but we'll see. For movies this week, just very quickly, I feel like the biggest movie release is going to be Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which I will go see. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'll go watch it. It's last year. I think it came out last year. It's a bad time for it to come out. It's really bad. I don't know why they put it out in December, but that's fine. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'll go watch this. I don't think it'll be good, but it could be fun. They are releasing in certain cinemas the Merrily We Roll Along Broadway show with Jonathan Groff and Daniel Radcliffe. So it's going to play in theaters. It's a live version of the Broadway show. So I'm kind of excited for this.
Fun.
Actually, last week, Shannon and I talked about which Broadway shows could become movies. Apparently, they are making this movie. I did hear maybe someone in the comments say that Richard Linklater wants to do basically a Boyhood. I don't even know what this musical is about. I know it's been around for a long time. I don't really know what it's about. But yeah, I'm excited to see this. I'm going to see it. Troll 2 comes out on Netflix. Troll 1 was a movie about a giant troll. I think in Troll 2, there's going to be 2 trolls.
Oh, wait, as in, okay. I thought this was like Toy Troll.
Nope. Giant
No, this is
Norwegian
Troll 2. I
giant
see.
Norwegian troll, I believe, will be on Netflix later this week.
I was
Today.
entirely not interested for a moment, and now I'm more. I don't think I ever watched the original Troll, actually.
Today, you could watch Troll 2 today. Troll. I
Look at that.
believe Robin Chappelle did a podcast about Troll. So see if they'll
Mm.
be getting together for Troll 2. And then the other thing that I think is kind of cool if you're a movie person is Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair will be in theaters starting this week. And so this is Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2, edited all together. It's 4.5 hours. You could go watch it in a movie theater. This is how Quentin Tarantino, I don't know if he wanted a 4.5 hour movie, but he didn't want to split the movie up into 2, and then they did. So they are releasing this all as one movie. I'm going to try to check this out. 4.5 hours. Could be tough. I'm assuming there's an intermission, but yeah.
I mean, you could also just watch it at home. Right?
Well, I could. Well, but how do I watch it at home? Can I? Did they ever release this? Like, I'd have to figure that out.
You just watch the movies back.
Okay, but is it actually? I guess I don't know this too. Whether this is for sure.
I kind of just assumed they stuck them together, but maybe they did something special.
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but it's getting like a full release. So I think I really like. I hear what you're saying. You can watch it at home. I really like the.
Oh, this does say 2006 for the.
So maybe he did it and then it's free. I don't know. So
yeah,
and maybe it's not 4.5 hours. I don't know. But I guess I like the idea of getting to see a bunch of movies I never watched in theaters, and I get to watch them in theaters. So like, there's
4.5 hours.
Some appeal to that. So yeah. Anyway, those are the movies that are coming out this week that I'm intrigued by.
Is Hamnet?
Hamnet did a limited release last week and probably would just be added to more showings.
Yeah, I think.
I love Hamnet. I definitely know people are feeling a little bit. I think Hamnet is getting the treatment of feeling like it might threaten One Battle After Another as being an Oscar favorite, as being the Oscar favorite, and getting a little bit of like, don't get up here in my business a little bit. I love Hamnet so much. I know people who don't think it's extremely sad, and you can feel it being sad. And I think some people are feeling like it's trying too hard to make them feel sad in a way that, like, this was executive produced by Steven Spielberg. Like there's a little bit of like, I think people can feel like they know what they're trying to make them do. It worked on me. I think it's like incredible. I really love it. I probably could rotate through my like top 3 on any given day of the year, which is Hamnet, Sentimental Value, and One Battle After Another, and then Sinners and Weapons kind of like are also rotating around that top. But like, I love this one and Sentimental Value. They're both so super sad, and I've never finished a movie and felt like everybody in the theater was crying, which is an overreaction, but it's not that much of an overreaction. Like it is really powerful, and I really, really love it. But I know not everybody's gonna love it. So yeah, it gets extended, I think, into probably more theaters this week.
There's one other thing I want to mention. The Park Chan-wook movie, No Other Choice, which is coming soon. I believe that this is going to have a like one night.
So it's scheduled for Christmas Day in North America.
Yes.
I believe it is maybe already released in South Korea, and maybe there might be some special one-off thing. Like I've seen it
So
played
there is on December 8th, it will be released to IMAX theaters.
That's right. I forgot that they're doing this. Yeah, you're
One
right.
night only. So if you want to watch it in IMAX, that would be the time to do it. I'm obviously very much looking forward to this. Park Chan-wook, one of, if not my favorite director. And this is a pretty hyped movie. The other option is it will be coming to theaters, I think still limited on December 25th. I don't know if it will get a wide release. So this might be your best chance to see it.
I think it's really good, and it is so in conversation with the world right now, in many ways, and I don't really want to say more than that. I think I really like it. I think if you can, go try to see it, if you have the chance to, go try to see it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Bugonia. Let's talk about some spoilers. If you're gonna check out now because you haven't watched Bugonia yet, thank you for joining us.
I think my plan for it. So I'm gonna do the Stranger Things, but Taran, I think unless you and I regroup next week, but we shall see. About a year ago, I had this idea in my mind where I would find somebody who is an expert in Hallmark movies, and I would chat with them about Hallmark movies and which ones are good this year, etc. The person I am tentatively slating to join me next week on the podcast to talk about Hallmark movies, Taran, is my mother, who watches every Hallmark movie that comes out. And so I think I might pull in who I will call Mrs. Leeder to join me to talk
Very
about Hallmark
fun.
movies. And that might just be a segment, but we shall see, because TBD. But a little bit of Hallmark movie fun next week, a thing that I do not indulge in. So, yeah.
All right. Well, make sure you check that out. And thank you for joining us. If you're going to bounce out now, check out the Stranger Things coverage and perhaps some Hallmark content next week as well. But let's talk about Bugonia. If I can find how to bring this back up. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, as you mentioned, yes, I thought Jesse Plemons was so phenomenal playing Teddy. And I also thought Emma Stone, once I got to the end of the movie, I was even more impressed with her performance.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like I kind of think like I have an expectation of Emma Stone, which is that she will be incredible, and so I'm a little like she might be better than Jesse Plemons in this movie, but my perception of who was going to be the best in this movie was that was going to be Emma Stone, and so I do think Jesse Plemons is so good and interesting and captivating in this movie.
So convincing. He, like, every mannerism, every ounce of him feels like this person. And maybe part of it is that like this person is not often accurately portrayed in media. So it feels more novel, but like he is so good in this.
So good. And I you know, the Yorgos thing is funny because he had Poor Things, which I think was a tremendous success, and then he does Kinds of Kindness, and Kinds of
Mhm.
Kindness is sort of anthology, but all the three acts are kind of in conversation with each other, and is it the same? It's interesting, but it has nowhere near the success of Poor Things, and then he comes out with this where he's working with these two people that he has worked with many times, and this wasn't getting a lot of buzz. And I just watched it and I was sort of floored with it. And I just kind of at the end of that last segment said, these are sort of my 5 favorite movies. I actually think probably like it's a world where I would put Bugonia up there as well. I think I gave it 5 stars. I just think this is so excellent. And I so get and I guess if you're here watching this segment, you hopefully have watched it. And if you haven't,
Yeah,
a little.
well, let me give like just the
Yeah.
baseline what happens, including spoilers. So again, this is like your last chance. But basically, Jesse Plemons plays Teddy, who with his cousin,
I think
um,
it's his cousin. I think that's right.
I think Dawn, kidnap Emma Stone, who is the CEO of like a big company, believing her to be an alien from Andromeda, and she is trying to convince them that she is not. Tragedy ensues as Dawn ends up taking his own life. Teddy ends up having to kill Stavros, the police officer. And it is revealed, in fact, that not only has Teddy done this multiple times now, but he is also correct. And Emma Stone was an alien. And then she, after he ends up blowing up in the teleporter, ends all of human life because we can't be saved.
Based on a South Korean movie
I did
called
not know this was a remake of
yeah,
a Korean movie until after I watched it. Originally, John Jang Jun Hwan was slated to direct this, but had health issues, had to drop out, and so Yorgos took over, and I assume changed a bit. But
yeah.
I'm also assuming that the original director was still involved.
I want to watch it, but that's called Save the Green Planet.
Yeah.
I so everything leading up to the moment where like basically after Teddy explodes in the teleporter thing, and when they drive there, he reveals that he has planted a bomb on himself so that he has insurance to, he's holding her hostage, and they have to be at the pharmaceutical company headquarters, and he blows up. I love the ambiguity of this film throughout to really make you feel like it's plausible one way or another. And I think some people don't like that we got the definitive answer of she's an alien, she gets beamed up, and they end life on Earth. And I think that part of that is probably that there's a silliness meter thing that gets like, sort of out of whack once you see her in like alien, like all the people in alien attire that wear these like hair long robes and hats and whatever, that I think some people are like, oh, it's kind of too. I was gonna say too stupid for me, but I like kind of. I think right, like
It's very silly.
it's very silly, and the movie premise is kind of silly, but like it's like dark comedy, and then it's like silly.
Well, it's like it was so interesting to me that this was a remake of something that was originally made in 2003 in South Korea, because it feels very timely, and maybe that's
Mhm,
just because
mhm,
of human nature, but like
mhm.
there's some class stuff going on here, class war.
Yeah,
Very rich CEO, very downtrodden, abused by the rich, sort of.
Teddy's mom is sick,
Yeah,
they've settled the lawsuit with the company because of the pesticides that like seems to be that's why she's sick, and they then like made him sign an agreement that she was given medical care. Like there's like yeah, like he feels like a big pharma company has like messed up his life, and then that also been driven into conspiracy theory, and he
Yes.
firmly believes he's right. And like I do also get the idea, like the notion of like what is going to be the takeaway of this movie for some
Yeah.
people, that like you are right about the conspiracy theory that you think could be true, and there are no lengths at which you should not go to try and stop the aliens from abducting Earth, or whatever thing you believe in, like Pizzagate or whatever, and it's like, is that a dangerous, I think, sentiment to have out, that ultimately the whole movie you're feeling like Teddy needs help, needs like
Mhm.
mental health help, and that poor Emma Stone is the victim, and ultimately, like, kind of the end of the movie, to some, it's like, no, he is right. He's the one who had factual information. And I
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, you go. You go.
That is the crux of it when I was watching, which was, um it's weird that this movie has gotten me to root for the rich CEO.
Right.
Um, and then, of course, I start to think, well, surely the twist of this would be that she really is an alien. But then I was like, but then that kind of sends quite a weird message.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so that was part of what put me off of that theory for a little while at least. And then when it does happen, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Like this really does feel like it's like, what is the messaging here? But the more I've thought about it, the more I feel like it is a necessary component of the story, because I don't think I should root for the CEO that has ruined lives, in the same way that I also should not be rooting for the violent conspiracy theorist. And I read one thing, I'm not going to take credit for it, but I read a few sort of pieces on this that talk about like, um, it doesn't like her being an alien or not being an alien almost doesn't matter, in the sense that, like, as a high-powered CEO of a major company, as the description says, she basically is an alien
Right.
compared to
Right.
Teddy or
Right.
the rest of us.
Yeah.
They live very different lives. They make decisions that impact all of humanity constantly. And whether she's an outer space alien or just what she actually could have been, that CEO, like, functionally, does it make that much of a difference? And then also the angle, of course, that I'm sure is maybe even more intended, especially in the original, given its title, what that means in relation to like humanity and the planet, and what we're doing and how he assumed that these aliens were malicious, but maybe the reality was that these were more benevolent to the earth and humanity than humanity itself was. And so I think that it does actually feel like there's more to it than just the baseline. The conspiracy theorist is right, um, and I found that to be really interesting.
I think that's so smart. I know you said you didn't come up with it, but I think that's genius. I think it's so smart. The idea that of her, she's, what does it matter whether she's an alien or just, the corporate high powered CEO who's basically an alien. I think that's
Mhm.
genius. And I guess I kept trying to figure out in my head why I don't really mind the reveal. And maybe subconsciously there's like something to that. If I just really don't feel like it underpowers any of the themes of the movie, because I also think to some degree conspiracy theorists, there is something that drives them to
Mhm.
try to figure out something that I actually, like, to some degree, fundamentally believe in. Sometimes it's that there is
Yeah,
like massive injustice in the world, and we just disagree pretty
and
pretty widely about
yeah.
the core, like, root issue of that thing, although maybe even not the root issue, maybe how it's actually happening in real life.
Yeah, and it's like it's these very real feelings, and maybe even justified feelings that are then sort of channeled into very destructive paths,
Yeah.
sometimes by an external force who are sort of like manipulating them or whatever, sometimes just on their own, and they become little mini serial killers in the case of Teddy. But yeah, like I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and again, the performances are amazing. It is fun to watch a Yorgos movie that has, I would say, like, I guess, more realistic dialogue. That's not usually his jam. He likes more sort of abstract stuff. So I thought it was interesting to see his style attached to something that felt, even though it was a very strange movie, it felt a bit more conventional in terms of its portrayal of character.
Poor
So
Things is closer in tone to the end of this film than any. Like, it's very silly. Like, that is the idea of Poor Things is a woman who's has a, like a child brain, and she's
yeah.
it's like extremely. And I think it's so funny, but it's like stupid funny when like in some of that stuff in that movie that make me like genuinely laugh out loud. This to me, I love. There's a few scenes that I just think are like A+ movie material here, which is
Mhm.
the dinner scene. And I noticed someone on Twitter talk about that. It is, I don't even, I don't know whether it's 100%. I have to rewatch this. Um, they're almost never shown speaking to each other in a way where they're both speaking to each other. So they're always
Mhm.
in different frames. So the dinner table, they're at two opposite ends of the table, and it's always filmed. You're looking at him, you're looking at her. It's I don't again, I'd have to rewatch this to like fact check this, but it seems like it's almost never or very rarely that you see the full thing of them getting to have. It's like that they're having a conversation without having a conversation with each other. You know what I mean? Like they
Mhm.
can't actually speak to each other. So the dinner party scene, the dinner, like the dinner, not party, like just when they're having dinner scene is so good. The scene between her and Dawn in the basement where Dawn kills himself is so good. I think it's and this is attuned to me of like so dark, so dark, so dark. I love it. And then the other dark one is when she convinces him to go pour that the cure for his mom's that something that's kept his mom in the coma is
Mhm.
the washer fluid that he needs to go pour down her IV, and he goes and does it and he kills her. And it's so powerful and like sad and moving, but I just was so entranced by this movie. And I think it's a credit that I feel like I'm the type of person who would be like, nope, too silly at the end, it ruined it. There's a movie that I talk with my friend about a lot that I thought was one of the most beautiful moving movies I've seen of the last few years. It's called All of Us Strangers, and I hate the ending so much that I feel like I hate the movie. I really love Begonia. I think it's like it's so good. I think it's so good. This is an exceptional movie year, I think, as well. So I really like Begonia, and I
Yeah.
think it's
I love the
saying
score
a
as
lot.
well.
Score's great. And then the piece I was just gonna say about Teddy and whether or not you're supposed to root for him or whatever, but like there's so much in this movie. I mean, if you think about the fact that like Don has some sort of like, you know, special, like he's like not the most like socially adept, and Teddy is taking care of him. And there's a level at which at first I feel like you feel very um you're like you feel like Don is under the influence of Teddy, and that like Teddy is corrupting him, which like I think is true. And also like when you find out that Teddy's mom is in the coma, and also like I do think Stavros showing up as the police officer is actually an important part. Like it feels a little silly in the middle of there, but also the thing that happens in that moment is the officer being like, you know, bro, sorry, I sexually abused you when you were a kid. And
Mhm.
like all of the stuff that Teddy is going through, that like I feel like every further reveal of things that happened to Teddy, you're like, I get why you think, like, what if there was a high level alien conspiracy that will explain why your whole life is like messed
Mhm.
up, man? Like that to me makes sense. And so I just think it's like, I don't know. I really vibed with this movie a lot, Taryn. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good. I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm happy we dove in there because that was very fun.
That was
I think that's what we got
that's what we
this week.
got.
Well, thank you all again for joining us here on the Tastemakers. I'm happy to have finally, you know, divulged
Kudos to you. Watched a lot of that. Was some good TV watching you did, Taran. That was
I
good.
did a lot of TV watching,
And some movies. Good work. It was
especially
great.
you know like the holidays helped a bit because I was able to just kind of like sit down and watch a bunch of stuff.
There we go.
So I'm excited to continue to watch stuff. I'm excited to watch Spartacus. There's a few more I still need to finish Dexter Resurrection.
Me too.
So that's a big one on my list. But yeah, I think that's what we got. I did also I mentioned it in the time between this and the last podcast. I've published the book. I've got a bunch of them behind me. So they finally sent me a bunch of them. I've signed a bunch. If you're in the LA or San Diego area, you can probably find a signed copy at Barnes and Noble. But it's been very fun. It's been very exciting. So if you haven't yet bought the book, check it out. Luckily, so far, the response has been great. So yeah.
That's what I've heard too. People seem to generally love it. So yeah, I'm so happy for you, Taran. It's a big deal. And people didn't listen to us and pre-order it. Or maybe you did. It'd be a great holiday gift. It's a good stocking stuffer, you know?
True.
Like you should buy it for your friend who loves reality TV or doesn't and wants to learn why you, the listener, loves it. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
So check that out.
All right. Anything else to plug, Grace?
Writing on Parade and Pop Heist and This Century in Cinema are counting down the top 100 films of the 21st century. This week is going to be a movie that Inside Llewyn Davis. So yeah, that's what this week's is. So yeah, I'm on social media at Hi from Grace.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and we will see all of you next time.